Hi there, this is Solid Ronan from Solid Ronan Films, and welcome to part 1 of my Claude Chabrol series. Claude Chabrol had a career of 50 years. He is more noted for doing thrillers, and people kind of criticise him as being a Hitchcock rip-off. But hopefully, as we go through his films, we might think a little bit differently about him. So we're starting in 1958, a year before Truffaut blew the doors open with The 400 Blows. This is his debut, Le Beau Serge. This is the Eureka Massive Cinema DVD. Because one thing about Claude Chabrol is his films aren't really available in Blu-ray, which is quite ridiculous in comparison to other filmmakers, especially filmmakers who have made 50 years worth of films. So it's something that we need to rectify. Anyway, like I said, he's famous for doing thrillers, whereas this is a kind of slice of life. It's a fairly bleak debut, but with hopefully a kind of hopeful ending. Hopefully a hopeful ending. Even though those among us who are a little bit maybe jaded or cynical might not be that hopeful. It's the simple story of Francois, who comes from Paris back to the village where he grew up and went to school, because he's been ill. He has a black spot in his lung, so he needs a bit of a rest. And he's coming back to see his old friends, including Serge, who, when he gets off the bus, he bumps into, but Serge doesn't notice him because he's turned into a bit of a drunk, which is a bit of a shock to Francois. Some of his other friends have become a baker. As Michel the baker says, he always knew he was going to a baker, he always knew he was never going to leave the town. Another one, they've become a soldier, another one's become a priest, even though he's only got 6 of a congregation, and sees himself as a failure. And he says that the town is like slowly drowning. So it's all about coming back, remembering the people or the friends you used to have at primary school or secondary school, and you often wonder whatever happened to them. And the people at school who, were a big deal, now that time has passed, they might not necessarily be a big deal now. So Serge is a bit of an alcoholic. He's married to a woman called Yvonne, who lost their first baby at stillbirth, and she's pregnant with his second. And he's kind of full of self-loathing and anger. He always dreamt of being an architect, and obviously life and fate have intervened. So when Francois turns up, he is a bit ashamed and kind of hides that through even more drinking and bouts of violence. And then you throw in a girl called Marie, who's the local flirt, who lives with her father, who everybody actually knows isn't actually her father, apart from her father. So she automatically has a soft spot for Francois, as his the lady who owns the kind of hotel bar says she's got a different boyfriend every week. So not much happens, but then obviously little things happen. Again, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, but things happen, allegiances kind of shift, kind of Serge's kind of resentment and embarrassment towards Francois kind of bubbles over, but instead of running away and leaving, Francois decides to stay and try and help. It is a kind of portrait of countryside poverty. It was actually shot in a real village. For example, Serge notes that the children have to walk 3 miles from home to school, and obviously winter approaches. There's a real sense of people just being trapped in this not very pleasant existence. And again, Francois come from the outside and maybe has a slightly patronising view of this. Technically the film is beautiful. It's shot in crisp black and white. There's especially really nice night scenes in the snow, and the only light is Francois' torch as he looks for Serge, who's sleeping off in hen houses. There's nice use of tracking shots and dissolves. There's a really nice dissolve involving Francois and snow. There's a real vitality and energy about Chabrol's camera, and his camera moves. I mean, obviously the Nouvelle Vague was kind of about reality and kind of being less flashy stylistically, being more natural as far as acting, and the acting is very good. Again, it is naturalistic. It's not a film full of joy. It's fairly dark and it's fairly depressing. It's perhaps not the first Chabrol film that I would recommend to people, but it still is a very good film, and it's an interesting debut. Truffaut really liked it, and it shows also the beginnings of Chabrol, before he kind of branched out into more kind of complicated thriller aspects and murder mystery type stuff. So I would recommend checking out again if you want to see where Chabrol started from. But again, I'm going to do his films and Satyajit Ray films chronologically, as far as the ones that I've actually got. So I hope you enjoyed this quick introduction to Le Beau Serge. Let me know if you've seen Le Beau Serge and what you think of it, as far as where it ranks in debuts. I wouldn't say it's the greatest debut in the world, but it's certainly a very assured little film for a first time director. So thanks very much for watching, And hopefully, again, we'll see you for part 2 of Cloud Chabrol. But I hope you enjoyed part 1. This is Solitude Ronan saying farewell, and hopefully we'll see you again.